Hey guys, and welcome to episode 3 of the Dash Gamer podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dash, along with my co-host, Mr. Ryan Betson.
What's up?
What's going on?
Not much, man.
No?
Not much at all.
No?
Nah.
How you been?
Nah, just the usual stuff, you know? Hanging out, doing podcasts, stuff like that.
That's right, that's how it goes.
I don't do much else these days.
What,
just
podcasting? Just podcasting and work, yeah?
And playing games.
Don't you enjoy it though?
Oh, yeah.
You love it.
It goes all right.
Yeah, of course, man. This is what we love to do.
That's right.
Content.
Yeah.
Content.
That's right. When you think you've had enough, there's more content.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. In the last week, I felt like just, content has kind of overruled me again. I'm just like, man, I'm loving doing this stuff again. Oh man. Stephen Player in the chat says, it's Ryan Betson, baby. Baby. Wrestling. Here we go. Guys,
I should steal that. I'm just saying I should steal that.
Ryan Betson, baby.
Look, I'm not against stealing intellectual property.
Yeah, but hold on.
So I will steal Adam Cole.
Big E himself has dubbed you Big Daddy Betson.
Daddy Betson.
Yes,
that's right.
So you can't steer off what Big E's branded you, man.
Nah, Big Daddy Betson. That's what I got.
Exactly. Guys, if you didn't know, this is the Dash Gamer podcast, our bi-weekly gaming podcast. We'll be taking you through the latest in the world of video gaming and other geeky stuff for your listening pleasure. Don't forget to follow us over on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify, where you can give us those cheeky 5-star ratings, and also over where you can catch the VOD on dashgamer.com. Betson, I have a bit of housekeeping to get through. So let me just jump into it, and then I'll pass it over to you. So on dashgamer.com, we have a Dreams review up. Thanks to the kind folks over at PlayStation Australia who provided us a review code. So make sure that you head over and check that out right now. We also have a Tokyo Mirage session review. Thanks to the kind folks over at Nintendo. Bayonetta and Vanquish 10th anniversary review. Thanks to 5-Star Games. I also took a look at... I should say that I played Persona 5 Royal back in November and completed about mid-December. And I finally sat down and wrote up a preview. I would love for, if you are a Persona fan, for anybody to head over right now to dashgamer.com and check that one out. It's a full-on preview of the game that is ready to launch here and in the West on March 31st, 2020. So localization is coming. I was lucky enough to sit down with the Japanese copy, so everything that you may read there is... loosely based on Google Translate, helping me out with that one. So thanks to Google Translate for helping me. But I also sat down this week and checked out the latest Persona entry, which is Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Strikers, which will be Persona 5 Strikers, I believe, in the West. There is no release date here yet, but I really want to get my hands on it and preview it. So that is live right now on the website for everybody to check out. So please, if you're a Persona 5 fan, plenty of content for you right now up on Dash Gamer. If you're a Nintendo fan, a PlayStation fan, if you love old school games as well, like Bayonetta, check out dashgamer.com this week. We've got it all. Betson, tell me what you've got going.
Look, I'm pretty much most the usual, man. Like, if you want a PlayStation podcast that isn't Operation PlayStation, it's one of the top 3 PlayStation podcasts made by my friends who make PlayStation podcasts. You can check out For the Players. This week we crack open the forever debate within the gaming communities of storytelling versus gameplay. Where do we sit? What's more important? Because I've been playing a ton of games recently that focus on more gameplay stuff, which is interesting because I'm a big story guy. So it's a good way to sort of discuss through that. I also straight up bite the lunch. I bite the hands that feeds with Dash Gamer, and I copied him and I pulled out our back button attachment review discussion, and I made it its own solo video because when there's a good idea around, you copy it, like Dante's Peak, Towering Inferno, Jaws, and the other shark movie that may not exist. I may have made that up, but like every time that there is like a movie, something, a second one comes out around about the same time. It's all well and good. Yeah. So that's pretty much what that. On top of that, the usual wrestling chats over with the Young and the Wrestlers, which we'll be recording live right after this if you're watching on Twitch. We'll be doing our SmackDown chats. We have our NXT takeover discussion that happened last week with good friend of this show and our individual shows, Ghost in the Machine. Yes. A fucking exceptional Twitch streamer. Absolutely amazing. So I was very happy to finally sit down with him and make some stuff. We've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
I was very keen.
I love me some Ghost. Ghost is awesome. He's such a cool
rad.
dude. Such a cool dude.
Other than that, I think I'm pretty quiet. Like, we're in this weird little quiet period, but there's not a big because unlike yourself, Dash, we get hands on many games. We kind of pick and choose, and try sit within particular focuses. It's not a word.
Obviously, PlayStation.
Yeah, PlayStation primarily. So it's been pretty quiet on our front. This week I'm hoping to do 2 Point Hospital. We're picking up. Be some more Dreams. We have a Dreams Twitch VOD up there where we actually got involved with a bunch of creators through the chat who then showcased their stuff that they've been working on. So this was done during the early access window, like the 3 days before full release.
Yeah. And
it was a blast, man. There were some really cool, excited people within that community.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Look, for the last couple of weeks, Dash Game Podcast now is going to be primarily PlayStation heavy, and the other reason I say that is because in the middle of the one of our topics tonight, I am going to bring up the question to you that I think that me and you could have a decent conversation over, and that will. I'll bring it up when we do, but yeah, I want to jump into let's jump into all the PlayStation news first up tonight. And the first one, actually, you just pointed out to me, which we both, being impressed, we get the news pretty early. We knew about this, but this one comes from directly PlayStation Australia and their Twitter account. This is basically the PlayStation Player Celebration starts now, only literally half an hour ago. Oh, back at
right about within the hour.
Within the hour. So basically, what PlayStation have explained to us is that PlayStation is celebrating the players. Since the launch of the PlayStation 4, more than 100 million players have come together to share incredible stories, experience countless adventures, and create lifelong memories in a generation of unforgettable PS4 games. To celebrate, the PlayStation community is calling upon to join together and participate in the PlayStation Player Celebration. Players can get ready to play games and unlock trophies with others in the community for their chance to win exclusive prizes. They'll be tasked to work towards a series of shared community goals to collectively unlock incredible prizes, including themes, avatars, and for a lucky few, real-life platinum trophy engraved with their PSN ID. The first goal kicks off February 24th and calls 125,000 games to be played and 500,000 trophies to be earned for players to unlock an exclusive PS4 static theme and PSN avatar.
Yeah, man. Look, just put it out there, everybody. Please get in on this because I want that theme. That theme looks very nice. I would like it.
Yeah. So it's very much a team effort for the players that are current, like everybody that owns right now PlayStation 4 and anybody who's a dedicated PlayStation fan, to sit down and earn unlockables. It's a community task is what PlayStation is setting. They want their fan base to be dedicated to essentially, ranking up, I should say, before, the big one, which will be the PlayStation 5 comes out. This is actually a really appealing way to get people to play. I don't know what kind, if it's just, though, exclusive PS4 themes and avatars as a prize at the end of it. I don't know how much it's going to entice PlayStation games to sit down and want to do that continuously. I like the idea. It gets involvement going. But I'm kind of 50-50 at the moment.
I think it's an interesting initiative because it is a worldwide initiative, which is a big thing as well. If it was localized particular areas, I understand. They'd be like, oh, maybe we won't hit the targets. But with being a worldwide event, I think that this is one of the best things come out of this. So PlayStation have discussed recently about the idea of this unification around all the entire PlayStation brand heading into PS5. So rather than having, everything will be divided into its little regions, there is a collective mindset. And that goes around something as simple as the PlayStation sales through the store. So everywhere around the world, the same sale will exist. It's creating that unified messaging. And I think this is a perfect example of that as well. So they're going, everyone with a PlayStation, you can get involved. Now, granted, as you said, it's just themes, it's just avatars. It's mostly cosmetic stuff. It's not very exciting. However, for those that do care, for those within the PlayStation ecosystem like you and I, these things are cool. An example is I got really disappointed that I didn't get a code for the Christmas theme.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's done by the marketing emails. I never get marketing emails through my PlayStation account for some reason.
Yeah.
I was devastated I didn't get that theme. So I mean that as in like for the right people, themes and avatars are literally that incentive. And for someone like me, it's 100% it. Like the round one theme is kind of simple, and I like simple themes.
Yeah,
it's standard. It's got the symbols on it. Big win. The third wave, which is this nice one showcasing all a bunch of the first party titles.
Yeah,
right up my alley.
Yeah.
And I think it worked out. Presumably, if every one of the 108 million people picked up a game this month. Over this window of time, we would have all three.
Yeah,
everyone would just play one game. Everyone would just unlock one trophy, and it's done.
Stephen Player in the chat says, "Is there an end date for it?" We haven't got any word.
There is an end date. It's if you read the fine print, it's like either we meet the target on this day or before that. It's kind of like an on or before.
So what? They don't release the.
Potentially, or they kind of cut wave 1 off there and then move to wave 2. I'm not sure, but it is. My understanding was it's the end of March.
Oh, there you go. There's plenty of time.
So it's about a month and a half. So I think bit by bit, whatever, I'm not. Give it a go.
For worldwide, those statistics are nothing. That'll be unlocked within the night, honestly.
I give it like 48 hours.
Yeah. It'll honestly be unlocked within the night. Be Possessed 101, welcome to the chat. Thank you for joining us live tonight.
Max, that's my co-host.
Oh, that's right. It's Max Cooper. That's right.
Good old Max.
Welcome to the show, brother. It'll be interesting to see what this brings. Like I said, I'm kind of 50-50 on the idea though, but it'll happen regardless. I think it'll happen without people even knowing it's a thing. So it'll just be people jumping on, playing their games, unlocking trophies, and it's like, well, here it is. The first goal is unlocked, and people will be like, "What the fuck did I just do?"
Yeah, I think there might be a push for maybe the third round, maybe like between second and third might be a bit of a struggle.
Yeah,
like quote unquote struggle, but that's fine. And the idea of a engraved PS. Platinum trophy is pretty rad.
Yeah.
I know Australia was the first to bring them into existence.
Yeah.
It was very cool to see that then move to a worldwide initiative.
Yeah, I agree. Betson, let's move on to I'd say this is the real first topic of the night. This one comes by way of press start. PlayStation has pulled out of PAX due to the coronavirus concerns.
It has.
This comes from Dean over at Press Start, who says, bad news for everyone heading to PAX East next week, with Sony pulling out of the event due to fears surrounding coronavirus. In an update added to a previous PlayStation blog post, they expressed their concerns surrounding the event. Quote, today, Sony Interactive Entertainment made the decision to cancel its participation at PAX East in Boston due to the increasing concerns related to the coronavirus. We felt that this was the safest option as the situation is changing daily. We are disappointed to cancel our participation in this event, but the health and safety of our global workforce is our highest concern. This also moved on to another update only a couple of days, 3 days ago, which was Sony and Facebook Gaming will miss GDC due to coronavirus concerns. This one, once again, from Dean says, over at Press Start says, within a few days of Sony announcing it was pulling out of PAX due to coronavirus, they have now pulled out of GDC for the same concerns. Not only Sony, but Facebook Gaming, including Oculus VR, will also be pulling out of the event scheduled to take place in mid-March. While Facebook has cancelled their booth experience at GDC, they did release a statement with their plans to still share what is coming next. Quote, we still plan to share the exciting announcements around what we had planned for the show through videos, online Q&As, and more. And we'll plan to host GDC partner meetings remotely in the coming weeks, end quote. It's unclear whether Sony will do the same after releasing this statement regarding the decision to miss the event. Thoughts?
It's a weird line. It makes total sense from a operational for an operational health and safety place.
Yeah.
You look at that and be like, look, that's a big risk. Although coronavirus is not rampant right now, its ease of delivery, which we discussed last time we were on the show.
Yeah.
It is 100% a risk.
Yeah.
And with the amount of bodies that walk through PAX East and the amount of bodies that walk through GDC, their reluctance is 100% valid.
Yeah.
Mostly because as it stands right now, there's no vaccine. There's nothing in
place. There's no cure.
To help.
Yeah.
There's no cure. There's no place. There's nothing in place to help it. So if it does happen to go bonkers, then there's 100% a concern. So I think from a company perspective, I agree with it.
Yeah.
It does still suck for those going for plan on going to these conventions for particular reasons.
Yeah.
However, I think the safety of staff as a business makes more sense.
100% with you. I think, and we discussed this right before we began the show and went live tonight. There is a concern of how bad it is to the point where even PAX later this year, here, PAX AU in October, whether or not we might see companies pull out of PAX in Australia this year due to the same reasons. I mean, it's a fair amount away now from now to PAX in Australia, but it's whether or not this virus can be contained. And we're once again, we're stepping out of gaming here and getting a little bit political once again, but this also concerns gaming when it actually concerns these kind of events afterwards. When we head into October and it's still around, I don't see us as press. This can be a risk for us as well, for us to have hands-on experience with consoles or whatever. Look, I know it's second nature. I know that we discussed this last time. We said that I said I'm absolutely fine, 100% fine with them doing this, because if anything, I'm anxiety ridden and I don't want no coronavirus sticking to my body. I would personally rather not risk that or my health or my life for a PlayStation 5 controller in my hands.
You might. Just saying.
Nah. So, look, for me personally, the way I see it is that they're doing good business by doing this. Even Facebook and Oculus, they're doing good business by protecting the safety of their staff and their health and the well-being of them, putting them first before thinking of commercializing a product. I mean, for all we know, the GDC may have been the reveal of the PlayStation 5. And now it's not, basically. It's interesting to note how Facebook said that they were going to present do their presentations remotely. Do you think that Sony are going to maybe look at doing a state of play around that time?
It would depend on what their plans were. My understanding, as it stands right now, was that at neither GDC nor PAX were they planning on any sort of presentation. It was there purely in a booth presence.
Right.
Unless there's something that we haven't heard or something that might come out later, I don't think that'll be a massive concern. That makes sense. Mostly because they're there just for booth space. In terms of PAX Australia, look, it is a valid concern. However, we've got 9 months between now and then.
Yeah.
And as I discussed on For the Players, man, PAX is already this hive of scum and sickness.
Yeah.
Every year I get viciously sick from PAX. And I think with the idea of something as gnarly as coronavirus, it's totally valid. And let's put it out there, a lot of coronavirus sort of stems from sort of, not the cleanest of environments. And when you have 40,000 people, 40,000 gamers, it's not the cleanest experience.
Yeah.
Even just by touching handrails, 40,000 people touching the same handrail, you can't guarantee that it's not going to be safe.
Look, every year we see the same thing. Everybody catches the
PAX pox.
PAX pox. And the risk is there. There is a potential of somebody coming from overseas or whatever, being at PAX this year, carrying the coronavirus, and it apparently only takes one person to spread it to whoever's around them in 15 minutes.
Yep.
And they don't even know they have it for a few hours until it strikes them. So yeah, there is initial concern. Regardless of what convention or exhibition you are heading to, it's valid. And right now, I think PlayStation are making the right move. So it's Sony Interactive are making the right moves on avoiding getting anybody sick. And, it sucks because, like I said, there could have been the potential of PlayStation 5 being there, and that would have probably been the reveal because we haven't heard shit yet. And we'll jump into that in a second. But yeah, I'm just glad that they're doing the right thing. Sony and Facebook and Oculus are doing the right thing.
It's the right call.
So, yeah,
it's the right call.
100%. Speaking of PlayStation, Betson, another story from Dean over at Press Start says Sony's new PlayStation VR controller might have finger tracking. He says a new PlayStation VR controller might be in the works, with Sony getting a new patent for a device that has similar features to the Valve Index. The diagrams of the patent show a controller that straps around your hand, and based on the description sounds, it will track motion of your fingers individually using multiple sensors. Quote, a control device in a home use game, a machine, or like detects movement from a user's hand and sends information representing the detected user's operation to a main body of the game, machine, or the like. By the sounds of some, well, that's end quote. There's no, for some reason, no end quote there. By the sound of some of the other wording in the patent, it also looks like this might be a controller with an adjustable size to suit all users with different size hands. So there is a diagram of it as well. It's essentially what it looks like is, kind of does look a lot like an Oculus Rift or a Vive controller.
Almost just like a detonator from a spy movie.
It really does. Yeah, that's for somebody who has used the Move controllers, I think that this is a major improvement. I never really liked the look of the big dildo Move controllers. I thought that they looked god awful. I remember when they first were released, and I thought to myself, what are they trying to market this to, kids? Because I remember it was specifically used on iToy at first, and also kind of like the what was it? What were the iToy with the Wonder Books, the Wonder Book use as well. And I thought, okay, then this is for kids. And then when they kind of simplified it to use it on VR, I thought that's great. That's good use for it. But I still think that they look fucking silly. So, yeah,
as you said, they come from a time where like accelerometers and all that sort of technology wasn't very readily available. So having these things with this big, unique colored ball on the top allowed the camera to pick up, because it was a relatively low resolution camera, especially on the PS2 and the PS3. Yeah. And even now, it's not like brilliant. But those lights come through crystal clear on those cameras. So the idea was, how can we track the controller movement simply and easily? And that was the way to go about it. And when it comes to PSVR, it's like, well, we have a fucking shed load of these. How can we bring this in somehow? Yeah. Which is a very smart move to sort of get rid of old stock. However, it does incredibly limit the potential of PSVR and where it will go. Yeah. So by the looks of it, according to these patents, there is no light technology on them, which demonstrates that like that accelerometer, etc. technology has gone to that point where, similar to the likes of the HTC Vive controllers or even the Oculus controllers, they're just read within 3D space rather than exactly what the camera can see.
Do you think that this is also in preparation for the possibility of a VR2 coming out?
I'd say so. It wouldn't surprise me. But then again, patents get filed all the time that may not ever see the light of day. Yep. Like, remember there was that one version of the DualShock which could split into two Move controllers.
Oh god, yeah.
You know, so like there's plenty of designs out there. This one is not too bad. Like, it's pretty clean design. Yep. It makes sense. It's got thumbsticks, which is incredible. For anyone that does play VR, that's its biggest downfall, is the lack of thumbsticks. So it seems to be hitting in all the right directions for if there was a second iteration of PSVR.
So my question now, I'm kind of going to bottleneck this because we are very, very light on topics tonight. But my question is here that, and it kind of merges with what we're talking about. Do you think that this will, because I think that this design is specifically made to look the part for PlayStation 5. There is no doubt in my mind that this is in preparation. This has been indexed for PlayStation 5. With the possibility of a PSVR 2 coming out. And I discussed this with PAJ, I think, and I think yourself as well, where I didn't like the use of... I don't think I discussed this with you. I didn't like the use of the PSVR headset and the way it currently is, with, you know, having to always drag out a million fucking wires to set it up. And then, you know, it's just terrible usage right now. You can't connect it through directly to your TV and get a 4K display. You only get a HD display on your TV when using a VR. I would love to see the VR used simply as a USB connection directly into a PlayStation 5, the front of it. Kind of like what we have on the PlayStation 4 right now, the two ports, you hook it directly in. Go on. I think you have something.
No, just Just burping.
Oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. It's a little bit of burping tonight. No, like I think that
Those current sausages are kind of, so,
I think, look, if anything, this will play the part for the PlayStation 5 perfectly. Mm-hmm. So, in saying that, once again, bottlenecking. Where is the PlayStation 5? What the hell is going on? Why haven't we heard anything yet? Like, this is the thing. Like, this is what's annoying me right now. Is that we know what the fucking box for Xbox looks like. We know what the Series X looks like. I'm saying these words, Betson, because it was revealed in early December. We know what the Xbox Series X looks like.
Right.
We do not know nothing about the PlayStation 5. Where the fuck is this box?
Yeah.
What is going on?
I don't know. In terms of where we're at, I'm not sure. I like where you're going with the idea of the controller pattern, whether they have a stylistically similar to what the PS5 could be. I think that's a great way to look at it. I think that would be very cool because there are like sharpish edges on this, and presumably it's like a nice matte black or whatever. So in terms of the box itself, when will we see it? I honestly thought we'd see it by now. Personally. However, I do like that they are switching up expectations because it was this time last week, 7 years ago, they announced the PS4. So I do like that it's not fitting exactly the expectations of what every media person is touting. I think that's a cool way to go about it. There is a fine line though. There is a line where it comes from staying quiet, keeping the hype going, keeping the excitement palpable, to this is fucking ridiculous. Yeah. And I do think that we are getting to an almost ridiculous point, but that's because we are surrounded by it constantly. Yeah. I think the average person, it's still right at that good amount of time. They're happy to wait a little bit longer. But for us, we're like, we want to cover this. I want to talk about this now. Yeah. Why can't we I'd make content around PS5 now?
We can't because we know nothing about it. It's all speculation.
So for us, the anticipation comes from a different space.
The content is all pure speculation. It's like, okay, how many weeks in a row can we sit here and go, is PS5 coming this week? Is PS5 coming this week? Is PS5 coming this week? It just we can't keep doing that. Like but that's from a perspective as press. As a fan, I'm getting impatient. I want to know at least what the shape of this fucking box is. So
I think the reason, so rather than just revealing the box like Xbox, which is nothing wrong with that. That was a good decision, a great decision.
Yeah.
However, as we now know, the potential cost of each individual PlayStation is almost the standard price of a release PS4.
Yeah.
Right. So there is that hesitation, and I think that hesitation stems from that price point.
Yeah.
We want, rather than just be going, hey, here's the box, here's the controller, how much is it? We don't know yet.
Yeah.
I imagine that they're holding out for that. So I'd say presumably, if we don't have it now, I'd say within the month, which is still a fucking long time.
Yeah.
I'd say within the month we're gonna but they're gonna do all of it in one go. So they've buried the lead somewhat with those Wired articles last year. Like, here's all the boring inside information that this is what the box is like if you open the box and have a look.
Yeah.
As it stands right now, Xbox, is my understanding, have yet to deliver those internal specs.
Your co-host from For the Players, Max Cooper, in the chat says, because the cost per unit is so high, they are holding to see what the cost of the Xbox will be. They are going to have to sell it at a loss more likely. Yeah, and that's something that I discussed with PAJ on For the Players. I think that each unit will be sold at a loss because of how high the cost is, which is something that I don't think that PlayStation can risk, because they make most of their profit margin right now based on the PlayStation brand. Or Sony does. Sony makes most of their profit on the PlayStation brand because their Bravia sales are down and they're not making any money off it.
Their Walkman sales are atrocious.
They had to shut down the Vaio line a few years ago because it was just doing nothing, because Apple were pretty much dominating the laptop market or the computer market, the MacBook market, whatever. So they shut down the Vaio market as well. He also says it depends on what Microsoft does. Think they are trying to get their ducks in a row. So once they announce, they don't have to change it. Go on.
Look, Yeah, so look, I think he's pretty much spot on there. I think it comes down to that they want to release that full package announcement.
Yeah.
So that way they can be like, here's the box, here's the price, here are the games that are going to be on it. We're not going to talk about fucking teraflops or ramage or any of the things that you need to know about. Here it is, box games. This is the presentation that everyone needs to see.
Yeah.
I think that's the approach. And the difficulty with selling at a loss, although on paper, like, from a single unit perspective, it's like, look, if they sell for $20 under their cost, it's like, oh, okay, cool, that's not so much. But when you add $20 up to upwards of $1 million in day one, upwards of 10 million, 20 million, and presumably until they can somehow correct the price, that is a substantial amount of money lost. So the more units you sell at a loss, the more money you lose. It's a and as you said, that is a massive hit to PlayStation. Now, they were very lucky, very, very lucky to sell the PS4 at a profit, so they weren't weren't too heavily damaged. Now, with Microsoft or with Xbox, because they are backed behind Microsoft, one of the biggest companies in the entire world, because, you know, of Windows and just computers in fucking general.
Yeah.
I'm sure they make more sales of Office than like PS4s in the wild.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's that they do have that luxury of them not being the tentpole, the flagship for that particular brand.
I agree.
So with Sony specifically, they are very reliant on PlayStation success. Now, presumably they will still have a success.
Yeah.
I think they will, even if like a third of the people that come across from the PS4, they will still do well, but that's still a lot of dollars lost. So yeah. I understand why they're holding to the very last minute.
I kind of get vibes from this of the, and I hate to say it and I hate to compare it, I definitely hate to compare it to this because it's a piece of Tupperware, but the Wii U, I remember when that launched off the success of the Wii, it's still the best-selling console ever, and made millions and millions of dollars for Nintendo. But when they launched the Wii U, every Wii U was sold at a profit loss. At a loss margin. Like there was a margin. There was no profit. There was a loss every unit, unless they sold a game with the unit. Every unit was sold at a loss. I remember when Reggie came out with a statement saying, "Hey, if you want to help us out, buy a game with the unit." And it's like, no shit. Everybody's going to buy a game with the unit unless they buy the premium edition, which was packed with Nintendo Land.
Yeah, I'm saying Adventureland, but that's something else.
Yeah. Sorry, Nintendo Land. And even that was sold at a loss. So people were buying that pack and not buying an additional game. Nintendo were essentially selling their lowest console ever made, like their lowest sold console ever made, at a loss at launch. Yep. And I'm kind of worried there's going to be a repeat case with Sony and PlayStation with their track record of the PlayStation 3, which was also sold at a profit, but it was at a profit at the expense
not initially. Initially, it was a loss. It wasn't until either the Slim or the Super Slim that they were making profit on each unit.
I think they were making a profit at $9.99.
No chance.
Okay.
Like so releasing it $5.99 or $600 in American dollars, that was like right on the money. Like they were not making a ton of coin. No. Like that proprietary processor fucked them.
Yes.
And then it wasn't until much later that they were able to see some money come back, and that's because at that time it was cheaper to make said processor.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of which, did you hear today that they Press Start put it? They're flogging off the PS4 Pro right now here for $369.
Ooh, shit!
That's a really good price. So for anybody out there who wants to pick up a PS4 Pro, if you haven't already. Yeah, man. Quite cheap right now, $369. Let's move on to the next piece of news, Betson. And this one covers a bit of a sensitive topic for Persona fans like myself. So this one comes by way of IGN. Tom Marks says Persona 5 will change homophobic scenes for the Western release, or Persona 5 Royal will change homophobic scenes for Western release. Atlas confirmed to IGN that the beach scene, among others, will be updated for Royal after fan backlash. He says Atlas have confirmed certain scenes from Persona 5 which were considered homophobic and offensive by many fans will be updated and altered in the Western release of Persona 5 Royal. Speaking to IGN during a Persona 5 Royal preview event, Atlas communications manager Ari Advin, oh my god, I can't pronounce that. Yeah, anyway,
that guy.
Ari of Atlas explained that the dialogue in certain scenes, specifically ones involving Ryuji, Two effeminate male characters would be changed so that those men were no longer shown in a negative light. We actually were able to go through some of the lines of that players may not have received as well. Look at the feedback and then update it for current generation. He explained that they changed both the first scene in which you meet these characters as well as the notorious beach scene they are also featured in later on. Okay, so Betson, I know that you haven't played much of it.
Persona.
Yeah.
I played like 20, 30 hours in it.
Oh, did you?
Man.
Did you experience these
I
characters?
say that every time and you get really perplexed. No, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I think I made it to like the third palace.
Third palace in 20 hours.
Second palace?
You probably made it to the second palace.
No, second palace and then underground area.
There you go. Yeah, it would have been the second palace. Yeah, so you wouldn't have seen these characters then. They appear a little later on. Actually, just after where you were, the next palace on. Mm-hmm. I can understand this situation. It is a very sensitive and serious situation to actually have these kind of things. The problem within this kind of bubble right now is that it's also within Japanese culture that it's still not frowned upon, these kind of deals. Like, I feel like it's still wrong to kind of have it like this and westernize it, especially as we kind of progress within more, we're starting to accept a lot of this now. Like, society's changing within Western culture and our culture here as well, as we adapt with this. And obviously it gets a little bit more political when, and don't get me wrong, Persona 5 is a very political game, and for it to touch base on something like this, and for them to consider changing homophobic slurs, I think is a step in the right direction after much backlash for these scenes. There's a lot of stuff within Persona 5 that I will agree on that does they do wrong with like in reflection to society and unacceptance. Basically, there's a lot of that, and but there's a lot of right that they do. If I were to say, there's more right than wrong in the game. But what they reflect on mainly when I say that they do have wrong is that there's a way to overcome it. And I think that Atlas are displaying this right now by essentially changing what is wrong within that dialogue. Because it's a very awkward scene. It basically has two teenage boys from who still attend high school, getting hit on by two gay men, but it's portrayed in a very predatory light. Essentially, they hit on Ryuji and take him away, and Ryuji hates it. It's very it comes off very predatory. It was a very wrong way to kind of do it. It's going to be interesting to see how because basically westernizing a game and sending it to a localization team is essentially just replacing text and dubbing. There's not really any further development on a title after that once it goes gold. I want to know how they're going to change that specific scene in the game due to the fact that we're so close to the release of the game already, and they're saying, oh yeah, we're going to change it. And it's like, but the game would be gold by now. It'd be ready to be packed and shipped and be loaded into warehouses by now. So that kind of got me a little bit like, okay, that's cool. Probably just patch it. But yeah, it's definitely a step in the right direction. As a Persona fan, I like seeing that because I remember in the original, it definitely was something that I was kind of like, ooh, that's a bit out of place for a game that I love. And yeah, the director of the game has caught a lot of backlash in the past for his for a lot of previous Persona entries in the same vein. There were characters in like Persona 4 Golden, Persona 4 and Persona 4 Golden that portrayed more of a well, the thing is, actually, sorry, I should say, the thing is, he was portrayed as a guy who had homosexual tendencies, but was never outgoing about them. He was a high school student as well, but had to, like, it was more like of an acceptance kind of thing. But that's also where the backlash came. It's like it should be accepting, it should be open, it should be out there. So I don't know, man. Like we get a lot of stuff when we dive into video gaming these days that tries to kind of touch a little bit on political issues like that. Whether or not it gets blown up or out of proportion, everything is for players to judge. I think that this still is the right call due to its predatory nature in terms of the dialogue. So yeah, Atlas are making the right call in the change. I don't know if you've ever seen the scenes or the cutscenes, Betson, but yeah, it's awkward. So yeah, I'm 2 thumbs up to Atlas for taking a step in the right direction for changing the localization. I think they're going to get a lot of praise for that, which is awesome too. But look at it. Look at it.
I think I believe that is a step in the right direction for, well, at least for this game specifically, because I do personally have quite a strong issue. I know this sounds super bad, with Japanese culture in that sense, around the sexualization of young women, and sort of how they handle that sort of topic, right?
Yeah.
Because the amount of times, because once again, within my client base at my day job, a lot of my clients love anime, they love JRPGs, all that sort of stuff. So I'm exposed to them on the daily, right?
Yeah.
So it is very interesting for them to, when I approach them and I ask them, like, okay, so this character's 9 years old and they are a dating option within this game, isn't that not confronting? And they're like, oh, no, that's just how Japanese people are. I'm like, no, that does make it okay.
That's right.
Like, this isn't like this, like that, just because like, oh, that's the way they are is a wrong discussion piece. If that was the answer, because it's very interesting that is the answer towards Japanese culture, yet you hear about, an example within the wrestling community about Saudi Arabia, and WWE's working with Saudi Arabia, and like
Correct.
their issue on how women are treated over there, but apparently with Japan it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Because that I have an issue with in general. So I like to think that here they are they are pushing against their cultural, history, because like, that's progression. Like that is how change happens. Like if we just sat here and went, but we've been doing it that way for years. Yeah. We would never have women vote. And this is a real extreme here. We would never have women voting. We wouldn't have, those different, everyone sitting on the same seats, and the bus is that big example, right? Like these are small changes that may help change a bigger culture. It's so small. It's just one fucking game. Yeah. And it's just one small thing, but it demonstrates something. Yeah. Because in the exact same discussion is the idea. It's with, I think Final Fantasy VII is has a potential concern as well.
Yes, it does. Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's so good that they're willing to make that thing. Now, in no way, in terms of political stance, am I this big lefty dude. I am very center left, if anything. But it's just that this one particular thing about Japanese culture, because I am exposed to it so readily, that it makes me actually quite uncomfortable. Yeah. Because I am seeing a group of youth that are essentially okaying this behavior. Yeah. And that I'm not cool with. And then it's like, that's how it is. So I a lot of them are big Persona fans. Mm-hmm. So I hope that this is sort of can present to them the idea of this change, and then showing some growth within that community.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a step in the right direction once again. And yeah, it'll be kind of an exposure kind of deal as well to a lot of that community, seeing some of these changes as well, and hope it kind of like you said. I'm not a big lefty. I'm a center left as well, if I probably put myself anyway. I just think that these kind of scenes here are not really worth it. It kind of doesn't contribute. Like those scenes there, those two scenes that were there for comedic effect, and they don't really contribute anything to the story whatsoever. If anything, they didn't even need to be there. They were just additional pieces put into the story for a laugh. But if anything, came off quite wrong, especially when you're stereotyping homosexual men as predators as well. That's just wrong altogether. Yep. So, go on.
No, I'm just agreeing with what you're saying there. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially having around that sort of predatory nature is not cool to begin with, because that is a gross misrepresentation.
Yeah.
But
that's what it is. I will say though, I have been playing Persona 5 Scramble. I've put in a decent 20 hours into it so far. I can definitely say that as I've played it into that many hours so far, that I have not experienced anything like that in this. And as I said in my preview that's available right now on dashgamer.com, that it's a sequel to the last game, or the first game, I should say, in the series. So for it not to have that in what I'm considering a mainline Persona 5 plotline here is definitely good. It's definitely going to show some change, which is what it needs. So I'm definitely for that as well. Speaking of that, I played this title as well on the Nintendo Switch. And you know what else people want on Nintendo Switch, Betson?
Fucking everything, apparently.
Yeah, but they also want Persona 5. And so this one comes my way of Tom Marks over at IGN, who says, keep fighting for Persona 5 on Switch, Atlas says. Persona 5 still hasn't been announced for the Nintendo Switch, but publisher Atlas says it doesn't want fans to give up hope just yet. Rumors have swirled around a potential Persona 5 port for a long time, with a bogus Best Buy listing even popping up in 2019. But that momentum has slowed considerably. So IGN asked Atlas community... Oh, not again. Atlas communication manager Ari, that's what we're calling him.
Good old Ari.
Ari's back again. If it was finally time for fans to give up on hope of a potential port during Persona 5 Royal Preview event earlier this month, to which she responded, I am a strong believer in never give up hope.
Poor translation.
Yeah. Betson, here's how I feel. I wanted Persona 5 on Switch. I wanted Persona 5 on Switch a while ago. If anything, I wanted it when they were hyping Royal from the onset. When all the trademarks started to leak, when the website was registered, when everything was coming down and people were like, oh, it's called Persona 5 Ruby or Persona 5 Crimson and Persona 5 Red because the last one was Golden on the Vita. It got that momentum up and everybody was hyped for it and ready to actually play Persona 5 on the Nintendo Switch. After playing Scramble on Switch, I can certainly say that it is plausible for the title to be ported to Nintendo Switch. It is certainly possible for them to do it, especially how vast Scramble is compared to the original in certain areas. There is no way that they cannot do it. I don't know why Atlas aren't doing it. Well, I do kind of, because they have obviously a licensing right with PlayStation, because every single mainline Persona title has remained exclusive to PlayStation. There has never been a mainline Persona title off a PlayStation system. Mm-hmm. Albeit, I think that we are now looking at something where Atlas are starting to kind of open up to the idea of actually placing a mainline Persona title on a Nintendo console for once, or on PC. Much like they did with Catherine, Catherine Classic, because they didn't release full body on anything else besides PlayStation. So obviously there is a licensing deal. I would be okay if they turned around and said, we're not releasing Royal on Switch, here's Persona 5 Vanilla for Switch though. Hey, I'll take that. Mm-hmm. But the fact is, if you want to sell more copies of the same game, I guarantee you the fan base that plays Persona on their PlayStation and own a Nintendo Switch will buy that game again.
Dude, if Nintendo people are good, if Nintendo fans are good at anything, it's buying multiple copies of the same fucking game.
Guilty.
For years, 20 years. Say, it's the same Mario game again. It's the same game. I'm just being a smart ass.
Now go
but,
on. Please go on.
See, I know you, Dash. I know you've got quite numerous copies of Persona 5, but
yeah.
it is your big thing.
It is.
What I find most interesting is this discussion of, we're the publisher, so it kind of lands with us. Oh, be sure to keep fighting us.
Yeah.
Fight us to make it happen. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just do it. Look, Atlas. Do you see it? 4 copies solid in my hand, right? 1 digital. 1 Take Your Heart's edition that I'm looking at on the top of my shelf. Then the Japanese copy of the Royal, so that's 7. 8. How'd you get 8?
And Scramble.
Oh, and Scramble, yeah. Japanese
I don't
version
know,
of
I don't know why I
Scramble.
keep saying that wrong. I think I do it at work because it annoys them. Annoys
Scramble.
my clients. Scramble.
But yeah, look, it's a no-brainer. It's honestly a no-brainer. If they want to make more money on Persona 5, just do it. Don't ask questions. I'm sure that your licensing deal with Sony on the original entry of Persona 5 is a done. Like, it has to be done. I'm sure that it's not a lifetime contract. Unless, they would have renewed a contract for Royal to be on PlayStation. I guarantee you there's not going to be any way Sony will be like, no, we don't want you to release it. It's not like they're making money on the vanilla version anymore if they're releasing Royal. Royal can remain exclusive to PlayStation. Release the vanilla on Switch. It's a no-brainer. And I think they need to take advantage of that opportunity right now. Betson, moving on for Persona. Let's talk a little bit about Borderlands.
Yeah.
Because me and you did the Dash Culture Borderlands review special last year.
We sure did.
But there is now rumors. Oh, well, no, it's not being confirmed. Sorry, I should say. The Borderlands movie has found its director. This comes by way of Dean over at Press Start, who says, after a bit of a search, the Borderlands movie has officially found its director, with Eli Roth being announced via the CEO of Gearbox. Randy Pitchford, everybody's favorite person within the game community.
Good old Randdaddy Pitchford.
Sure. He says on Twitter, I'm very excited to welcome Eli Roth as director of the Borderlands movie in development with Lionsgate and ARED Productions. Please welcome at Eli Roth to the team. That's what you just said. And be sure to catch the Gearbox official main theater show at #PAX East on February 27th to learn more. #Borderlands movie. I'm just going to say that I don't know how a Borderlands movie looks. What the fuck is a Borderlands movie? If anything...
If anything, it's Mad Max Fury Road.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was going to say. It's Mad Max.
But saying that, though, like, Uncharted, if it ever fucking happens...
Well, apparently they're doing it in 3 weeks.
Would essentially be Indiana Jones. So I understand that. But Borderlands is cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool world. Pandora is rad. There's some really interesting characters like Handsome Jack, etc., that really stand out that I think could work well within a movie. And characters like, the psychos and whatnot, they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
However, I don't believe that any of the main characters, whatever they call, what the fuck they called?
You're talking about
the Vault Hunters. Like, I don't think the Vault Hunters themselves are that interesting.
Yeah.
To sort of, would they have to then base them around, like, very similar to Tales of the Borderlands, perhaps?
That's it. That's what I got up on screen right now.
Yeah.
I still believe that Tales from the Borderlands is Borderlands the movie. It's just an interactive experience. You cannot beat Tales from the Borderlands in terms of a cinematic interactive experience that was Borderlands. While adapting it into the story as well. Have you ever played Tales?
No.
It's an amazing game, Bets, and it's one that you definitely have to play.
Yeah. My old co-host, Josh Saunders, swears by it.
Yes. Holy shit, I would swear by it too. I found it funny because we were discussing it back when we were thankfully given copies by 2K Games for review. We were discussing while we were playing, doing a preview for it, and we heard Chris Hardwick was involved with Borderlands 3 as well, and how he jumped over a lot of the characters from Tales had an impact on the development of Borderlands 3 and a lot of their characters. It just shows how successful Tales from the Borderlands really was in the universe of Borderlands, and how well those characters were written for them to kind of take over what was, kind of an empty shell in a way when Borderlands 2 was around. You had Handsome Jack, and that was about it. Mm-hmm. I think that if anything, if they're going to base the film on anything, it might have to be the Tales series, because I can't see it going anywhere else if they want to base it on anything or even have original characters. But the problem with that, with introducing original characters, is there is a potential risk of fucking it up. Yep. And I just have this strong feeling that this isn't going to be a big successful deal. Like, I could have said the same thing about Sonic, but Sonic's apparently doing really well. In terms of a kid's movie, everybody's loving it. But this one worries me. This one definitely worries me because I think they're going to run out of ideas faster.
I think I can get a small rant out of this one.
Please go ahead. And it's time for... What's it called again?
I don't remember.
All Betsons are off.
Yeah, we'll go with that one.
That was right.
Leave fucking video games alone, man. Like, there is no reason to make movies of every fucking game. Like, when there was a window of time that, it made total sense. Video games were fighting for legitimacy. So every time they're like, hey, it's getting a movie, that's us going, oh my God, this game is so good that it's going to be seen by the masses. This massive collective of people will finally get to experience this game that only so many hundreds of thousands of people did, right?
Yeah.
Fucking PS5 is 108 million PS4s in the wild. Gaming ain't niche no more. No. Hasn't been for a very long time. Yeah. Therefore, people are experiencing these stories. An example, my favorite game of this generation, if not all fucking time, God of War, right?
Yeah.
Should that be a movie? No.
It doesn't need to be.
Because it's a fantastic experience. And if anything, that experience will be diluted heavily by reducing it to a 2-hour, possibly 3-hour film. Mm-hmm. And that comes down to any game that they're moving forward that they're trying to do. Uncharted, why? Don't fucking waste your time. The Last of Us, don't you even waste your time. Like, there is such a unique way. There is such a unique way that video games work as a medium to deliver stories that you don't get anywhere else. And that's because of their interactivity. Yeah. If you look at the video game movies that have come out, even the best ones have been sub-fucking par.
I agree.
You know why? Because people don't... The best thing about games is you are part of the story. You are joining that story. Like, you look at the Tomb Raider movies, ball bags. You look at that Doom movie, ball bags. Yep. You mean the Silent Hill, both of them. Silent Hill should be relatively simple. It's a fucking horror movie. What is it? It's ball bags. Like, it's so difficult to translate that medium from one to the other. This isn't books versus film. Like, you can... Well, actually, use that as a fucking example. How many times people bitched and whinged about shit being missing from the books? Because how do you take this 800-page novel and bring it to a 2-hour movie? It's just not fucking possible. No. And with video games, and you're looking at 20, 30, 40-hour experiences condensed to 2 hours, fuck no. If anything, I would be cool with TV. TV is the safest bet to translate games into a more, silver screen sort of setup, right? TV's where it's at. Yep. You look at The Witcher, it is doing gangbusters. Why? Because they've been given X amount of hours to tell a big story. Yep. Video games have great scope. They have great... scope is the right word. I can't even know. It's great scope. Right. Yeah. Where you can see genuine growth between characters, ebbs and flows in what they do. You really build the connections to the characters. Yep. Using Uncharted as an example, do you think I'd give more or less of a fuck about Nathan Drake, Elena, Sully, all within 2 hours? Not a chance. It took 4 games for me to cry at the end of those games because I have seen those characters for so long. They've been such a big part of my life. Yeah. 2 hours, you ain't getting the same result. No one will understand the impact and the power that the stories within these games have when you reduce it down to a 2-hour film.
I 100% agree with you, and it goes all the way back to the start with I think the very first video game movie, which was Super Mario Brothers.
Anus!
Yeah. Terrible adaptation. Like, you can't adapt a fucking 8-bit side-scroller platformer. It's just... Well, you can.
Remember the time they tried to do Battleship?
Holy shit. Yeah, so, I agree. It just... With video game movies... It's a flip of the coin. You got to leave it alone if it's not going to work. I mean, once again, the Sonic the Hedgehog movie was subpar at best. It's not making waves or anything in Hollywood. It's doing its thing as a kids movie.
And a conspiracy theory, I truly believe that movie's only doing as well as it is right now because they intentionally released that shitty trailer.
Oh, that and also Jim Carrey.
That is marketing. They're like, and because it's goodwill marketing, right? They're like, hey, this is it. They're like, that's fucking gross. Like, oh, we better fix it.
Yeah.
We're gonna fix it for you.
Yeah.
We're gonna get it done.
I agree.
And everyone goes, oh, that's awesome. I'm gonna go see that movie now because they did what we asked. We won.
Yeah.
We're like, tinfoil hat. They had this fucking plan the whole time.
Yeah, probably. Betson, let's move on to the next topic. This one's going to make Drew fall off his ladder and run to the computer screen because we're about to talk about Nintendo. Nintendo had
Stop painting, Drew. It's time to listen.
Nintendo had a direct this week, and it was all about Animal Crossing. This one comes by way of Eleanor over at Well Played. Animal Crossing Direct highlights New Horizons is everything and more. After seeing what feels like less than 2 minutes of footage in the last few months, it's true though, we are finally getting treated to a 25-minute of beautiful footage via a Animal Crossing New Horizons dedicated Nintendo Direct. Here are the highlights from the Direct. So there was it went in parts as well. So I'll start from part 1 real quickly. I'll skim through them. You can choose from multiple maps and in which hemisphere you you move to the island. There is an orientation session where you place your tent and other residents' tent straight from the get-go. You can craft at the workbench in resident services or at your workbench. You can do workshops to learn new skills. You can fully customize all furniture with patterns and paint them different colors. The resident services tent will be open 24 hours a day. So, like, I'm not going to read them all because there's a lot of stuff. So, once again, it's the same deal. Like, have you played any of the other Animal Crossings? You never have.
No, I have not. I've never touched them. But more and more have everyone been like, dude, you love farming sims, farming games. This is up your alley. And I've just never made the jump. I think I will. I think this will be the game that will make me go, dust off that Switch, because I think it might fill a need.
Yeah. You're a big advocate for Stardew Valley.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon, old Harvest Moon, new Harvest Moon's bum.
So what's taking your time to actually jump over to Animal Crossing?
I guess because it was it on Switch? Not on Switch, on Wii.
Yeah, it was on Wii.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't really give a shit about Wii at the time.
Okay.
I never owned a Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's on like 3DS and stuff. I've never really cared about 3DS, and that's I've got a 3DS, so I could totally go play it right now. But I don't know. It just none of it never really caught my interest because back then I was poor and I didn't have access to a lot of games. So I just kind of picked and choose what I wanted to play. Now I understand that these are big things. I probably should have played it. But it's because it's allegedly up my alley. I have a feeling that I'm gonna go and play Animal Crossing, not at launch because that's Doom Eternal Day. But I think it'll be enough to catch my interest.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I for me personally, I've had solid experiences with Animal Crossing in the past on 3DS. The Wii version of it sucked. Didn't like it whatsoever. A lot of people did, but I thought that it kind of was just a bit here and there. The attachment made it very subpar. And I discussed this on the House of Mario a few weeks ago, that I just thought that the Wii version was a bit here and there, but the microphone attachment sucked in terms of actually making a peripheral for nothing because they never used it after Animal Crossing on the Wii. The Wii U version, I don't think there was ever a Wii U version, but to see it now come on Nintendo Switch is going to be awesome. I think it's going to have a vast community. I think a lot of players are going to be picking this one up day one for sure if they own a Switch. I see nothing but non-stop tweets about Animal Crossing, man. Like, it is insane the amount of support that this game gets, especially for something...
there's a lot of hard-ons for it. It's pretty huge.
A lot of people love the simplicity of the game. I've talked to a few people who have never played an Animal Crossing game in their life and are so hyped and excited to actually pick this one up. I, for one, am excited for two reasons. One, because basically I'm back in reviewing. I will be reviewing the title as press, and it's one of those things where this game has never had a stronghold on me. The franchise never really has had a stronghold, but as somebody who has an objective to review titles, that is my goal, essentially, will be to get enjoyment out of this game by reviewing it, basically taking notes and understanding its mechanics and all that kind of stuff. That will be my core enjoyment out of it. On a personal level, I don't know if I wasn't reviewing it, I don't think I could give it dedicated time personally. But mainly, there's a lot of stuff that's coming out around the same time, but even then, when I say that, I'm not a huge advocate for stuff like Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing and Harvest Moon. I've never really been able to get into that kind of stuff. I've always thought that it was a little too slow for my taste, a little too casual for my taste as well. I don't know, man. I do like the cuteness of it. It does look good. I don't know whether it's going to be for me, though. But it'll definitely be interesting to see when it does land on March 20th, along with Doom Eternal. Because I think a lot of people are going to be hyped for both of those games. They're going to rock up to their local EB games being like, give me both of them.
Give me Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing. Bam.
Yeah. Have you seen that animation that's going viral on Twitter where like the protagonist from Doom walks into the GameStop and buys Animal Crossing, and then the I can't remember
Isabella, whatever.
Isabella walks into afterwards and buys Doom Eternal. It's so great.
Yeah, I did see an article. Apparently, yeah, like the Doom player base and the Animal Crossing player base are almost coming together collectively, being like, yeah, both these games are going to be awesome.
Yeah,
so I really enjoy. There's no competition. It's just
it's good unity. I love that. I really do love it. It's great to see it, and obviously with those being pretty much the next major releases. It's a month away. It's going to be one of the biggest dry spells. Like, we're going to be sitting here like, holy shit, where the fuck are these games?
Yeah, and like, I just finished Doom this week, so I went back and finally finished it. So I'm like, I'm gagging for it, man. Like, I am ready. Give me Doom Eternal.
Yeah, that's the other reason why I picked up Persona 5 Scramble, was because I was like, man, we have got nothing until now and then. It is going to suck so bad. So that's why I picked up Scramble. So Scramble's giving my fix. Hopefully there is another game coming out this week, and hopefully I get my hands on it. So we'll be reviewing it. I won't mention which one it is until I get my hands on it. So final story of the evening, Betson.
Yeah.
This once again comes from Well Played. Adam Ryan says, EA moving development of Need for Speed back to Criterion. He says, I don't think there would be many that argue that the Need for Speed franchise has been seen a few ups and downs over the past few years. At the dawn of the PS4 Xbox era, new dev studio Ghost Games took up the Need for Speed mantle, with the so-so Rivals being the first crack back in 2013. 2 years on, we got the online-only self-titled Need for Speed, which we gave a 6.8. Cool. That didn't exactly get our pulse racing. I need to be preceded by the mess that was Payback, which we gave a 5. Though the game showed potential, the title's development by Ghost just weren't hitting the mark. That was until last year's Heat, which we gave an 8, came along and proved that the folks over at Ghost were learning from mistakes in the past. This upswing has come to an abrupt end, however, as EA has moved development of Need for Speed away from Ghost and back to Criterion. Criterion are best known for the fun as hell Burnout series, as well as their forays into the Need for Speed with Hot Pursuit and Most Wanted. So no doubt we'll have some solid Need for Speed games coming to us in the future. Betson, give me your thoughts, because I know you've been playing it.
Oh, dude, Need for Speed Heat's great. I've not given a fuck about Need for Speed in a very long time, probably since Carbon, on PS2. So Need for Speed Heat's great. I really, really enjoyed it. However, it's an interesting decision. I can understand why-ish, because Need for Speed is essentially EA's longest running franchise. They've had it for ever. It is one of the longest franchises in gaming history, period. So I understand why there's this constant need to adapt and change and work with it. However, the Criterion games back on PS3 weren't really that good. So, once they left Burnout and they made the way to Need for Speed, what they delivered was subpar. So it's this weird line of why would they make this decision. Now, my understanding is, so Ghost Games is being rebranded into EA Woodbridge or something like that.
Yeah, correct.
So, in essence, one of the studios is in Stockholm, in Sweden, and the other one is in the UK. Now, my tinfoil hat theory, this is a Brexit problem.
Right.
Because my understanding is that there was a bit of an issue so those that were working at Ghost were like, or vice versa. Criterion were like, hey, although we're getting rid of the game, did you want to like move to the other studio? Like, we're not going to sack you. You're like, do you want to move studios?
Yeah.
Because, I imagine having two studios that are working, one in England and one in the UK, one external, like there's a bit of driving problems now with this whole Brexit thing.
Yes.
So I think the line of that is a bit more political and sort of cost rather than one studio doing subpar one. Yeah, I think it's 100% a business move.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm with you on that one. I think if anything, this is what you just said, is a business move due to a lot of the Brexit stuff. And also, I think if anything, as good as Ghost has been with, like, it's been successful. Like, I think if anything, has reinvigorated the series of their last entry. But Criterion, Most Wanted was good. Just don't think that this is kind of the right move, man. I just still think that they should have kept it with the working formula.
Once again, if it does go down this Brexit line or this business decision, it's completely out of their hands.
Yeah,
which is that other line, but it will approach it from a creative sense. Yeah,
I agree. Betson, let's start wrapping up the show tonight with the Dash Gamer podcast. Global gaming releases, thanks to VG247.com for providing those. So, Betson, this is what is coming out across multiple platforms for the next 2 weeks. Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind on Xbox One hits February 25th. Mega Man Zero. Mega Man Zero.
Madman the video game.
Madman the video game, yeah.
Yeah, John Hamm looking good even in games.
Mega Man Zero, the ZX Legacy Collection, hits February 25th on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Samurai Showdown hits February 25th on a Nintendo Switch. 2 Point Hospital on February 25th on PlayStation 4.
I am turgid for 2 Point Hospital.
Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. Overpass on February 27th on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Bloodroots on February 28th on PS4, Switch, and PC. Metro Redux on February 28th on Nintendo Switch. One Punch Man, a hero nobody knows, on February 28th, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Romance of the Three Kingdoms 14, I believe that is the Roman numerals. Yes, it is.
What's the Roman numerals?
XOV, that's 14.
Yep, that's 14.
That's correct. Yeah, Romance of the Three Kingdoms 14, February 28th on PlayStation 4 and PC. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus on March 3rd, PlayStation 4. Murder by Numbers, March 6th on Switch and PC. And, of course, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX, March 6th, Nintendo Switch. And that is the global gaming releases for the next 2 weeks.
Quiet, man.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? That is a rough list of games. Guys.
But think about it. This time, in an alternate universe, we could be playing The Last of Us 2 right now. Not give a fuck about Romance, whatever the fuck, 14, because the other 13 was so effing good. We could be playing The Last of Us right now.
Don't remind me of this shit, Betson. You're just depressing the shit out of me.
I'm happy to wait.
Yeah, please do. Guys, if you didn't know, this has been the Dash Gamer podcast, our bi-weekly gaming podcast where we talk about the latest in the world of video gaming and other geeky stuff. Don't forget to follow Mr. Ryan Betson on Twitter at HaggardMC. You can follow myself on Twitter at Dash Gamers. You can follow the podcast over on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify. You can give us those cheeky 5-star ratings. Watch the video on demand on dashgamer.com as well. Betson, thank you so much once again for joining me this week.
No worries, dude. No worries at all.
Yes, and also make sure that you follow us over on our dedicated PlayStation podcast, Operation PlayStation. You can head over to dashgamer.com and find all the links there. So we'll see you guys in another 2 weeks. Hopefully I'll have Padge with me. He'll be over the whatever he's got, and Betson can have a rest from doing double duty on Mondays. I don't think he minds, but still, you know. Big shrugs from Betson.
I'm not too fast.
He loves it.
Yeah.
But until another 2 weeks, we love you guys so much. I'll see you guys next week for Operation PlayStation. Until then, much love. Stay dashing. You don't have quotes at the end, do you?
Nah, I can't think of one.
No,
no, we just end it with, and that was for the play.
Oh my god.
We don't really have anything cool.
No, we don't. I end it with operate and the operation is complete. I don't know what I was going to end it with, but yeah, there you go.
Dashgamer.com